I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to their cries. The sound is coming from the basement, that I know for sure. You're probably thinking that after all these years I should just buy some soundproofing for the walls. And believe me, I've tried. I collected my first victim a few years back. He was a primary school teacher who specialised in history the most. It's quite funny actually, sense of irony in fact, that he would be lost in something that he was so passionate about. After all, it's what he deserved. It's so clear. I waited until he finished his job and hit him over the head with a brick. It was messy, but bearable. I tied him up and put him in the boot of his car. I took his keys and drove his car back to my house to give him his new home. By the time I got him to the basement, he was on his last breaths. Perhaps the brick was a bit too hard, or maybe the anger built up inside of me made me blind to my own strength. As he laid against the stone wall, he tried to regain his senses. His now bloodshot eyes scanned the room before his gaze connected with mine. He knew who I was. I'm not sure how, but maybe he saw me picking up his partner from work, or maybe he saw a part of my daughter in me, maybe the eyes I shared with her. After all, he looked into hers a bit too much when she was tied down to the chair in his house, the chair in his kitchen, where he touched her and destroyed her innocence, when he destroyed her. Of course he screamed, and of course I enjoyed it. My next victim was the teacher's partner in crime, my brother or her uncle. I know how stereotypes go with the creepy uncle, but this was too real. How he touched her at family gatherings. So sick, so twisted. She was 9 years old. Now he didn't see what he was doing wrong, but I sure as hell did. So he had to be punished. This operation was much easier to perform. It was at a gathering like normal, but this one was no ordinary gathering. It was after her funeral, my daughter's burial. My family had come back to my place and we were all so distraught. Some were depressed for other reasons, however. Was he sad because he would need to find a new victim, someone just as delicate, just as vulnerable? Everyone else left, but I asked him to stay. I told him I needed to be with someone I trusted. He agreed to stay, but he probably saw it as a chance to inspect her belongings, maybe take a souvenir. I waited a while before making him his final drink. The rat poison inside the beverage was strong enough to take down an elephant, so all I had to do was wait. But I got impatient. I brought him down to the basement. He was familiar with it due to his trips down here with my daughter. As we got to the final steps, he began to choke. Frothing at the mouth, he spluttered everywhere. Tears ran down his face as he let out whispers of pain. I struggled with this victim, as he was my brother after all. He did all of this before the teacher did, of course, as he wasn't the murderer. The teacher killed her after he raped and used her. That's why he will lay next to my late relative. I'm not sure if there's any other suspects for my daughter's death, her pain and suffering. If there are, I'm sure I can live with the constant screams to correct the wrongdoings of others, to avenge my baby's loss of life, to remove the sin from the world in any way I can. I'm not sure why she punishes me though. The carcasses in my basement are definitely not screaming. She is doing this. She makes the wailing echo around the walls. She sees me as a suspect, an advocate of her death, of her abuse. I was never there for her. She was alone. She needed someone. She just picked the wrong people. The sick and twisted minds, the abusers and the mentally ill. If I was just there for her, this could have been avoided. That's why she punishes me. She makes sure I'm not alone. I'm always surrounded by my haunting prior acts. The bellows that echo throughout the house follow me like a shadow in summer, always behind me, always watching.